gonna go home, and my son Lumba, I call my daughter. The daughter, she called her, and I walk all the way.
Do you know? Can I phone your son or your daughter?
Everything is in the car.
Yeah, but I can phone from here.
Yeah, but she doesn't know the number for
the number. I don't have the number.
Oh, you don't know your son's number.
I don't know my number. Well, I don't know yours, even though
I go this way and I catch the cab that way.
Yeah.
Okay?
Do you want me to walk with you?
No, it's fine.
You sure? I want to help you.
Yeah, thank you very much for
You're, yeah, we feel sorry. I feel you. Yeah, I know how.
my number here. This is Watling Cab.
Okay, try that.
Try that one. The corner one is the Pinnacle.
I've got to do it via bleeding Skype.
Mama, you sleeping?
Your phone?
Yeah.
I'm just on my phone. I just remember to go on my phone.
Yeah, fine. I'm okay, Mama. You feel me, yeah? She feels me, you know that?
Yeah, she knows, Paige. You know. So this is I'm doing my Sabbath morning service. I'll say a prayer for you. How about that? I'll say a prayer for you. My rabbi will say a prayer for you.
She crazy or what?
If there's one drama you just had to watch, what would it be? From Sean Bean and Broken.
Bless me, Father, for I've sinned.
Nice, sir. To Amelia Fox and Silent Witness.
Based on the words, I'd say a rifle is most likely.
Oh, I'll put the camera. Hello, this is Kevin.
Is a job for a man.
I have to put you through to Amanda. She's got a little bit of a problem. It's not her fault. She speaks to, I think, Shmushra.
Okay, hello? And Arab Salam, what's your auntie? Hello?
People like me get a taste of what it's like to
How
work in a
you know
business
the
like
Saki
yours.
Gari get a Islam to your Kashaki Kiki Gari school. Where I got there, telephone Kiki Gari Kuchra Magara Karo. Could you give it a Terena Sagas? What are the county who has so much? Because Slantan and look the way to see us. Please, how are you? So I'm stuck. Showing your numbers. I Diane. Please, how are you?
Yeah, well, I'm sure to tell
Okay, bye. Mama, you okay? You're looking good, Mama. Yeah, you're beautiful. Mommy.
Is that
She
okay?
called me back, yeah. Thank you. She called me back.
So what's she going to do?
She called the Nasra.
Oh, well, that will help.
Yeah.
And then Nasra will come back here, and you'll be late for your job, but she can tell.
She's
She's going to call Nasra.
Yeah.
That's Mushtaq is calling Nasra.
Yeah.
And then Nasra will come here. It means you'll be late for your job, but
The people
because
doesn't
other
know.
people understanding like we are.
Yeah, that's the problem, you know that?
Yeah, well, we don't mind. Like, it's something like we're fine.
Yeah.
But it's not everyone. But like you can say you've been delayed in the job. This one, you can say this one's been awkward. And
I never do that, you know that?
yeah, I know you don't. I'm teasing you. When I'm stressed, I crack jokes
I know. It's
because that's a way of coping. It's a way of coping, and that's what I tell my clients and my people. Yeah, you become Jewish for today. I'll become.
Yeah, I'm Jewish.
We went. Me and Olivia. We went to mosque. Was it the mosque in Wembley? Was it the Ealing with the synagogue? Where the 79 pub was. Is that the Ealing or the Wembley mosque with the synagogue?
It's just Emily, the high road.
Oh, yeah, on Ealing Road. Yeah, that big
Yeah,
busy
Ealing
road.
Road.
The 79 bus. We went there, and they made us really welcome. Like the Jewish and the Muslims.
Yeah.
We had the Passover,
Oh.
but we had a joint celebrate because it clashes with one of your festivals. So we had a combined event. It was really nice. And she wore the hat, and I wore a hat as well, didn't I? They gave me. I think I've got it upstairs. and it was really. Was it called the Healing Mosque? Oh, it's the care agency. I'll give it to you. Oops. What? Hello?
Hi, so Nasia does have the key.
Oh, she does.
And she's with another service. She says she's going to be back in about 20 minutes.
Oh, 20 minutes. Okay, is that all right, Anna? 20 minutes. So what will happen is
I'm stuck.
I know you're stuck. So yeah,
It's
but
okay.
it's so I think the only thing you do.
She's with another service.
Yeah, she can't leave somebody, so you can't use another client early. So what I think, Anna, do you want to stay here until Nestor comes in about half an hour or 20 minutes? But I mean, there's another way. We can't get, because she's parked, we can't get our car at the drive. We'd have given her a lift otherwise. So I think it's the only way. So you're stuck with us. You're stuck with us for another 20 minutes.
20
You
minutes.
speak. Yeah, you speak. You speak.
20 minutes. We fucked her. Thank you very much, Harry. Thank you, Harry, for your help. Thank you.
There's nothing. You're stuck for 20 minutes, and you can.
It's nice.
Yeah, we're mad. Yeah, we can. What's it? So in 20 minutes.
I will go the car. It's not fair 20 minutes. Even it's too far, you know.
Yeah, you're better waiting 20 minutes, and you're just. I know. I feel sorry for your other client.
If you know I'm here, it's fine.
Yeah, but what? Who was that on the phone? Was that who did you speak? Is that Mishrak? Mishrak.
Yeah, Mishrak.
Yeah, I always get to. So she will phone you, the other service user, to tell that you're running late.
Very, very late.
Very late, but
She know now.
you know, I've got my.
What's the time now? 10 o'clock.
It's 10. It's 10:38.
Nearly 11 o'clock. She come back.
Yeah. So it'll be 11 o'clock, and I've got my service to start. Hi, Linda. This is.
Can you call? If you catch the car.
Hi.
I don't know. Hi, Linda. Say hello.
Hello.
This is Anna, one of Mum's carers. She's not become Jewish. I'm trying to. We're talking about Muslim and Jewish.
I'm just now. Look,
She's
I have
Jewish.
my
She said she wants to become Jewish. Go ahead.
Kevin,
Next time we're around here, we'll do. There's a song that we can do in Arabic. What was that song you sang last night? We could do in Arabic.
go on. The one that go, the Hine Matov one, but part of it is Shalom Aleichem, Salam Aleikum, Shalom Aleichem, Salam Aleikum.
That's
How
right.
sweet it is to be together on this day.
So we'll do next time you're around, because they were around for quite a bit of the Yom Kippur service as well. So that's Linda. Say hello. So this is Olivia as well. That's a hand. Hello.
Hi.
Olivia does listen to the services in the background, but she's not like me. That's
okay. What I'm doing at the moment is, the Torah portion.
Yes.
I'm going through it and changing the language.
Yeah, it's not gender friendly at all.
No, but I'm doing that. So I'm gonna kind of like carry on doing that. Do you know which bit? Do you know which bit he's actually reading? Because
he didn't specify.
Okay, so because that means I've got to go through the whole lot. But I don't think I'm going to have time to like do the Haftarah as well. So I'm going to carry on doing that.
Okay, if you can do that. What I need, because I use that Stefana, which
well, what I'm doing, because I usually use a different thing for the Hebrew, but what I've got side by side is I've got the Sefaria translation and the one that I've copied from like the Hebrew, and I'm just changing it as I'm going along.
Okay, Linda, that would be good.
But as I say, I can't guarantee in 15 minutes I'm going to finish.
No, well, don't worry this time. Not a big deal. What I'm gonna make you the host, because I won't be there to the end. So if I just make you a host, because if I leave, then it kills the whole. Are you happy to be host?
Yeah.
I've done the streaming.
I can't do the streaming.
No, I've done the streaming.
Oh, you've done the streaming.
So we could hear.
And the highlighting of Rabbi Andrew. So is that just like clicking a pin?
I think what you click on, what is it? It's audio. What's it called? I'll try and do it on you. The only way I can do it is if I I think it's pinned video, something like that.
See, haven't got all of
Or
the.
Spotlight. If you can't do it, it's not that, but it's not essential. It's just that when it comes to recording, it looks better. Because the recording will be in, I think we'll go in gallery view, which is not quite as good, but it's not essential. We've been doing it that way for ages. It's only because Joseph explained it to me, and that just works better.
Well, I worked out with Stefan that I don't have, even though I've got the latest Zoom, I don't have all of the functions that you have on a laptop or a thing on that. So I haven't got that. I haven't got that.
Okay, you're a bit limited, but
yeah.
And what we try to do in our synagogue, you sleep, you can sleep. That's what I do.
I'm gonna mute and I'm gonna carry on doing that.
Yeah, carry on doing. We try to make everything what we call gender neutral. So, like when we refer to Lord, we don't use the word Lord because that makes it male. We try to do it same sex. Are you with me? So it's not Lord, the eternal one. We call it nothing male. So God is not a man or a woman.
Oh.
We say God is not a man necessarily. No. I don't know if you disagree, do you? We feel that God could be male. It's not necessarily male. We're equal sex. It's gender neutral, we call it. But I know that with Muslims it's very much male, but we try to be equal.
Yeah, it's good.
It's good. It makes it more inclusive. That's the word I'm looking for.
That's good.
Which is how we.
Still fasting.
Not fasting. Must be joking. No, you have your fast. How do you manage when you have your fasting?
Oh my God, you can't drink nothing.
Yeah, and you're working in your job.
It
must be so difficult. But I know you have to.
I'm not fasting.
No, you don't. You've got to. I always think your health is more important. What's what you're comfortable. I think if you make, say, some sacrifice, that's something. I'll just show you something.
Are you sleeping? He's come back upstairs.
And this is what I got when I went to the.
Oh, that's nice.
They gave the gift from the mosque.
It's good.
I won't wear it. I got this thing that they gave me. Yeah, and you got your.
It's good hat.
It's good, and they gave Olivia.
It's beautiful.
So, do you know the one in Ealing Road, the mosque there?
Ealing Road, yes.
Yes.
Wembley.
Wembley, yeah, that's where we went. We did a joint service, and they've been to our synagogue. I've probably got pictures somewhere. So one of them, the people there, the imam there, joined us for our Yom Kippur service once. So we've done interfaith things, and we've done things at the food bank in Stonebridge Park, and there. We've done something there with the community. So we're very much into interfaith. We think it's because they'll take like the story was about with Ishmael, like Abraham, had Ishmael and Isaac. Yeah, and the story.
Abraham is my surname.
Yeah. Oh, is it your surname?
Abraham is my surname.
So
Muhammad is my
Muhammad, Abraham, that's funny, yeah. Well, Isaac is my Jewish name.
Oh, okay.
Isaac, so we're like
Isaac.
Yeah, so yeah.
Isaac is my son.
Oh, is it Isaac? Oh God, you'll need to.
Did you see that?
It's funny how because when I went to Israel, we just went to the place where the shrine for Abraham was. Was it Safat? It was called. Yes, Safat there, and it was nice. They had Muslims because of Ishmael, and it had the Jews worshipping the same, yeah. And it was friendly. It wasn't like it was quite. I felt safe with it. It's not always safe. Here's our rabbi for today. Hi Andrew. it's not always, there's some places where you can't go to in Israel, but there sometimes it's nice. I love it. I like that. I
love every culture, you know that.
Oh, you do every culture. I do. Well, that's what you have to.
Every culture I support.
Yeah, well, I'm with you that. Well, with that, it's Andrew, and Andrew, here's our rabbi for today, would agree with you.
That's the father.
That's the father, that's the rabbi. The vicar. No, the rabbi. Hello. Hi, Andrew.
How are you? Nice to see you. Have a good Yontef. All
Yes,
went
it was
well?
quite good. Fasted well. We had a lovely service. Really, it worked really well. With Stevenage, with Linda's community. So Linda is like part of Stevenage and ourselves. So she's got a foot in both camps. But we
Sorry, you did it together with?
Yeah, with Stevenage.
Oh, right.
And it went really well. It was like a collaborative effort. And we got Rachel was in a community hall with the choir. So
All right, okay.
So it felt a bit live, even though we were looking through Zoom squares. It was really harmonised well, much better than on Zoom. So it's lucky to be able to get this hall very local to where Joe's.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
And it really added something
Hi.
special. And
was that
Andrew,
your? Yeah.
could you tell me exactly what bit of the Torah you're reading? Because I'm just trying to go through at the moment and make it into gender neutral language. And like, I don't know which bit you're doing. So I might have done some that you're not doing. If you tell me.
Deuteronomy 32.
Yeah.
1 to what? 1 to 12.
Oh, that's all right. I've done that bit.
Okay, good. Yeah, that's enough. I mean, it's beautiful all the way through, but we could be here all morning with it.
Yeah. Right. Okay. So I've done that bit. So I'll do the Haftarah now.
Okay, right.
I'll try.
Well, again, on the Haftarah, we're not doing the whole lot. We're doing. It's a very long one. We're doing 1 to 20.
1 to 20. Yep. Okay. I'm sure I've got that somewhere. Right, let me have a look.
How was your Yontef then, Andrew?
Yeah, Sharon and I went to Edinburgh for Rosh Hashanah. That was very nice. Again, it was their first meeting in their sanctuary, which is really a Unitarian church, and that was the first time they'd have met, so they're very excited and a good turnout. And then we came back for Northwood the Ark for Yom Kippur, and again that was a mixture. Some services were in-house, some services were just online.
Yeah.
And you for Yom Kippur, were you all in person?
No, again, it was like Rosh Hashanah was with South Bucks. Linda, do you want to make me the co-host? I just suddenly realised that I haven't got any hosting rights at all, just to share the load. Yeah, so hi Vanya, hi Joseph, hi George. Hi. I don't mean to ignore you. Yeah, Rosh Hashanah was with South Bucks.
Yeah.
And Yom Kippur was with Stevenage.
Yeah. But you were not all
at all, apart from the choir, who were fantastic. And I'm not just saying that because Joseph has arrived.
Yeah.
There's some really brilliant composition, something different. We're very traditionalists. We normally like the same thing, same tunes over and over again. But Joseph kind of took a bit of initiative on that.
Okay.
I don't know whether the traditionalists objected, but I certainly didn't. George, did you? I know you like the old tunes, but were you happy with the music over Yom Kippur?
George, you're muted. You're muted.
And hi, Vanya, Shabbat
Shalom. We did like, the new tunes as well.
Yeah, no, the music was beautiful.
of the two of us, I'm probably more traditional.
Oh, yeah, I know. It's quite interesting your views. I think, yeah.
But the whole service was very, very good. I was very impressed, and well, we both were. Yes.
Joseph, how many people in your choir?
4 and me.
Yeah, okay, right. Because at the Ark, we, our daughter Ruth got together probably 4 different choirs from different people at each service. And again, there were 4 or 5 people, sometimes alone in the sanctuary, but sometimes when the service was people, it was limited. So it was a step back towards normality.
Yeah, okay, that's good. That's where we're trying to move to as well.
Yeah. So, Joseph, you happy with the service I've put down?
Yeah, of course, that's fine.
Of course you are. You're always happy.
Tough. That's what he's saying. Rania, how was your service in France? Were you able to tune into it? You're muted.
Yeah.
Not too bad.
Oh, not too bad. That's good.
Not too bad. On Zoom, and some people were in person, but I didn't want to go there, so I just stayed where I was.
Which community was this with?
It's with Rabbi Pauline Babe.
Pauline Babe, yeah, of course. Lovely. I'm sure it'll be very nice. Kevin, we're going to need a Torah someone for the Torah blessings.
Okay. How about we're going to get more people? How about George? You haven't done. I know you normally like to do a mitzvah. How comfortable are you with the Torah blessings?
Yes, I'd like to.
That's the advantage of getting here early. You get your pick of mitzvahs.
Well, in fact, it's Azinu is my bar mitzvah portion. So.
Well, you can read it. You can
George, you didn't tell us. Are you going to sit? Do you want to read it?
Then read it without vowels from the scroll. Come on, George.
Okay, so yeah.
Maybe you want.
A blessing's okay.
Yeah. Do you want to? This is optional. I'm sorry if I'm stepping in here. How would you like to do the English translation on the screen share? Is that something that can be done? You don't have to. There's no pressure on. But I've been your mitzvah.
I don't know, because of screen share, I'm not very good at seeing it.
Okay, we'll make.
I haven't rehearsed it. No, in fact, when I did my bar mitzvah originally, of course, it was in Hebrew entirely. No English, but it was in Hampstead Synagogue.
Okay.
Hampstead Synagogue.
Yes.
How many years ago, or was that a bit embarrassing if you give us the answer?
No, it's about almost 80 years ago.
80 years
what?
ago.
Well, I'll be 92, so yeah.
Oh, not bad. That's amazing. That's amazing. About time you did it again. Next year you must.
You should warn us.
We must do it. And then we need somebody for the theme of prosperity. And I've chosen prosperity because we're sort of a day away or 2 days away from Sukkot. And basically the theme of prosperity for 2 reasons. One is it ends, I don't know if you can do this for us, Joseph, ends with Sur Mishalo Achalne.
I'm sure I can manage it.
Yeah, okay, fine. Well, of course, Sur, we will find, is repeated several times in the Torah portion, so it all seemed to connect, but certainly to get us ready for Sukkot. I've got my Sukkot ties on to a bit of brightness after the high holidays. And actually, I was out this morning putting my sukkah up, so I'm all ready for Sukkot, so we can get ready in terms of thought with the theme on prosperity eventually, so we get there.
I just check my sound, please, before we start. Do you hear me all right?
What about the prayers for the community, etc.? Volunteers?
How about Stephen? Are you up for a prayer?
Yeah, no problem, Kevin.
Okay. Zenka's in the background.
Yeah.
I always remember Zenka's name as Agnes backwards.
Linda, do you want me to share the Torah and Haftarah portions, or are you doing that?
Sharon's doing the Haftorah.
No, but that's a screen share. We're going to do a screen share. Andrew.
Oh, screen share. Oh,
yeah.
right.
I know you're not. I know you're not up for that, but we've got Linda or Stephen can do that. So.
Yeah, Stephen.
Yeah.
I've just done the Torah that we're doing in gender neutral language, so I can share that. And I don't think I'm going to get the Haftarah finished in time. So if you want to share the Haftarah, then share the Haftarah. But I've done the Torah in gender neutral language.
Very good.
But I'll stop doing the other now because I'm kind of like time's running out. So I'll stop.
Can I just check the sound from my end?
No, can't hear you very well, Joseph. It's too faint.
Well, that's kind of what I was asking.
Yeah.
In order to check.
That's better.
Is that better?
Yes.
La 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 la. Both
Yep.
voice, okay?
That's good.
Cool.
Well, I can see it looks like we're going to have a post Yom Kippur congregation, which is always the case. All of the people, I always go back to, and all through my rabbinate, I always went back to that sort of those claims in the particularly the creative prayers about us sort of repenting and sort of vowing vowing to lead a good life and come to shul and all the rest of it, and people are exhausted after all of that. They're shawled out. But we've got all the cream of the community here, so that's the important thing.
Apart from Kevin.
I'm the riffraff.
That's good.
Yeah, this Shabbat Shuvah and this service is always the least well attended. In fact, we're grateful to have you here, Andrew, because it's very difficult to book a rabbi this time of the year as well, because they're sort of a bit obviously exhausted or serviced out just from all their preparation. So we're really, really grateful that you're actually available. This is like the busy period.
Yes, and we're missing a good service at the Ark this morning because the sermon's being given by a rabbi from the Leibek School in Haifa. But we can we can watch it on catch up later.
You can watch again. Oh, it's a shame you're missing that. That would be
No, we'll catch up later.
I might end up tuning into that one.
So it's one of the things you can catch up on services and
yeah, that's good. That's another good benefit. You can retrospectively watch the source of the service. I mean, Stephen gave a fantastic sermon last Shabbat. It really was, and I want that to get maximum publicity. Rachel tuned into that, by the way.
Yeah, no, she emailed me.
Yeah,
I have to say, Andrew, I always catch up on the Ark Synagogue as well. So this morning I followed their Shabbat Erev Shabbat service, and tomorrow morning I will be following their Shabbat morning service, and I've already seen your afternoon service for Yom Kippur as well. So.
Oh gosh, catch up! It's worse than having Netflix with all these different options.
Thank you. It is quite amazing the number of people. I mean, for all of the bad things about this pandemic, in terms of Jewish observance, even if it's been from our home, it's been quite incredible. I mean, last night we were discussing in the old days, in a Shabbos like that, we get very few unless people felt they got to come because nobody else is going to turn up. But I mean, last night it was, I don't know how many were there, 40 people, 43 at least.
Fantastic.
And that we saw because, of course, that's on YouTube, and there are other ones on Facebook. So it's just incredible. And of course, they're from all around the world. So it's, I don't know, Well, we're here, and people like Linda can actually end up doing services non-stop all through the week, and that's
every day Shabbos for you.
There we go.
So welcome, Sengo and Tony. It's good to see you.
And Hannah, nice to see you, Hannah, again.
Of course, Hannah.
Shana Tova to all of you.
Senga, how would you fancy doing the reading in English? Obviously, one of the community blessings or something like that, Senga? I'm putting you on the spot, or Tony even, but I know Senga. I think they're muted. If you're muted, maybe.
Okay, you can speak.
Kevin, were you speaking to me?
Yes, I was.
Sorry, I didn't hear it. We were self-muted.
All I'm saying.
What were you saying?
Would you like to do one of the blessings, like say for the royal family or the community?
I can hardly hear you, but I'm not very good at doing the blessings in Hebrew.
No, it's in English. Everything's in English.
All right. Yes.
Perhaps the royal family or the community of Israel. Take your pick.
Yes, I'm still not hearing you terribly well. Can we turn ours up?
No, it's his volume. That's the
I see.
I think is it my volume? Can everyone else do it?
Kevin, you need to turn your volume up.
There's never normally problem with my volume.
Why don't you do the royal family, Senga?
Okay.
Okay. So Senga can do the royal family. Stephen, what one do you want to do?
Whatever, I don't mind.
Okay, Hannah, would you like to do a blessing for the community or Israel?
Yeah, I'll do the one for Israel, shall I?
Yeah. Okay, so that leaves Stephen to do the community.
Yes.
Who's doing the theme reading, or are you going to do that?
Well, I can turn it up, yeah. Oh no, that's their volume.
Yeah, if you turn it up, then you turn everybody's volume up. You see. If I turn this up, you see.
Maybe Maureen could do that, Kevin.
That's better.
Pardon?
Maybe Maureen could do the theme reading.
Yeah. Oh, hello, Maureen. You've just arrived and we're dropping you in it.
I'm turning on mic off so they don't hear us muttering.
Oh.
Can't hear you, Kevin.
I don't know, something wrong with my volume because everyone's having a problem with me.
I can hear you fine.
Okay. Stephen, you're being my spokesperson.
Okay. Maureen, would you like to do, we're doing the theme reading this morning. Are you happy to read the theme reading?
Yes. What page?
It's on prosperity. I think Andrew will tell you what page when it comes up.
No, okay. I can tell you in advance, 284.
284.
Yeah, 284.
Thank you. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
So
one more minute, Kevin.
Yeah, one more minute, just in case there's people stuck in traffic.
Oh, lovely. Yes.
Or whatever, but welcome. I'm glad that we've got almost a minion. In fact, we have got a minion. That is kind of quite pleasing. Always, at this time of the year, we get minimal attendances. And we've got welcome Rania from France as well.
Welcome, Rania.
And we've got my friend Anna. Say hello, Anna, who's that helps my mum's carer. And she's a Muslim, but she's been interested in she's been through the Yom Kippur services and everything. So she's gonna convert to Judaism, I think, and I'm gonna
lovely.
No, but we discussed shared interests. We discussed what we've got in common, our shared culture, which is really, really good. It's healthy, but we're all into the theme of one God.
Very nice.
She can't get the gender neutral bit. That's what I tried to explain. That's the only bit that she can't work out. So that's the way. So I think we're ready to start. Welcome, Andrew. Thank you for joining us and leading the service, especially this time of the year where I know that you're exceptionally busy. Yeah, sort of sandwiched between Yom Kippur and Sukkot. So really great to have you here. And without any further, could I ask, because I'm really sick and tired of muting everyone, could I ask everyone to mute themselves on this occasion? unless you're obviously getting called up for prayer. So over to you, Andrew.
Okay, and on page 129, what page 129, service 5, Joseph, over to you. Martovu. You're muted, Joseph.
Yeah, hi everybody. I was just saying to others, please do mute yourself if you're not singing, singing or reading, because otherwise we will get echo. Nice to see you all again in a more intimate setting. Motovu on page 129. If the sound's a problem, just do tell me. Motovu ohaleha Yaakov Mishkanotecha Yisrael Motovu ohaleha Yaakov Mishkanotecha Yisrael Vani barav chazecha Avovetecha Eshtachave Elecha Kodshecha Ve'yirotecha Ma tovu ochalecha Yaakov Mishkanotecha Yisrael Ma tovu ochalecha Yaakov Mishkanotecha Yisrael Adonai ahavti me'on betecha U'mekom mishkan kavodecha Vani eshtachave va'ekra Evrecha lifnei Adonai osi Ma tovu ochalecha Yaakov Mishkanotecha Yisrael Ma tovu ochalecha Yaakov Mishkanotecha Yisrael Vani tefilati lecha Adonai Et ratzon Elohim berav chazdecha aneni Be'emet yishecha Ma tovu ochalecha Yaakov Mishkanotecha Yisrael Ma tovu ochalecha Yaakov Mishkanotecha Yisrael
Source of light, of truth, and of the impulse within us towards justice and mercy. May this hour of worship be one of vision and inspiration. Help us to find knowledge by which to live. Let the words we speak enter our hearts and influence our lives. Bless all who have entered the sanctuaries of their homes and joined together online. In search of you or in need of comfort and consolation, may the offerings of our hearts be acceptable to you, and may the prayers we offer here bear fruit in acts of kindness, peace, and love. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah. With what shall I approach the Eternal One?
How shall I worship the God of heaven?
Shall I come before God with burnt offerings?
Or with yearling calves?
Will God be pleased with thousands of rams?
Or with 10,000 rivers of oil?
Should I give my firstborn for my transgressions?
The fruit of my body for the sins of my soul?
People tell you what is good, but what does the Eternal One require of you?
Only to do justly and love mercy and walk humbly with your God.
These are actions which bring benefit here and now, but whose full value can be measured only in the light of eternity. Honoring one's father and mother, acts of love and kindness, diligent pursuit of knowledge and wisdom, hospitality to strangers, visiting the sick, enabling bride and groom to rejoice, consoling the bereaved, praying with sincerity, and making peace where there is strife. And the study of Torah leads to them all. Let's read together. Eternal God, may the words of Torah taste sweet to us and to all Israel, that we and our children and all the children of your people may come to know you by studying Torah. We praise you, O God, teacher of your people Israel. And again together, Baruch Shama v'haya ha'olam, Baruch Hu, Baruch Ata Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, hamehulal b'fi amo, meshubach u'mefo'ar bilshon chasidah v'avadah, bishvachot u'bizmirot, negadel chavanam lichecha, malkeinu yachid chei ha'olamim. Baruch Ata Adonai, melech mehulal, v'tishbachot. Sing for joy to the Eternal One, you who are righteous.
For the upright do well to give praise.
Give thanks to the Eternal One with the lyre.
Make music to God with a 10-stringed harp.
Sing to God a new song.
Play well with shouts of joy.
For God's word holds good.
God's every deed is done in faithfulness.
The Eternal One loves righteousness and justice.
The earth is full of God's kindness.
By the Eternal One's word the heavens were made.
And all their host by the breath of God's mouth.
At the divine command the ocean waves rise.
Or gather instead in the vaults of the deep.
Let all the earth revere the Eternal One.
Let all who dwell there stand in awe of God.
Who spoke and it was.
Who commanded and it stood firm.
Echa ashir al yom v'layla, v'Elohim hu yitzaram. Echa ashir al shamayim v'aretz, v'Elohim hu yisadam. Echa ashir al harim u'gva'ot, v'Elohim hu teva'am. Echa ashir al yamim v'tziot, v'Elohim hu cholala. Echa ashir al tevel u'melo'ah, v'Elohim hu tzivam. Ashir liyotzer hakol, v'na'aleh al kol, l'Elohim ashira.
Hallelujah, b'kodsho, hallelujah, b'kira uzo, hallelujah, b'gvuraton, hallelujah, karov kulo, hallelujah, b'teka shofar, hallelujah, b'nebel v'kino, hallelujah, b'tov u'machol, hallelujah, b'minim v'ukav, hallelujah, b'tzilzele shama, hallelujah, b'tzilzele trua, kol hanshamata, hallelujah, 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 kol hanshamata, hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah.
Yishtabach ba'al ha'el ha'melech ha'gadol v'ha'kadosh b'shamayim u'v'aretz. Ki lecha na'eh Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu. Shir u'shvacha, halel v'zimra, barachot v'hoda'ot, me'ata v'ad olam. Baruch Ata Adonai, ha'bocher b'shirei zimra. Baruchu et Adonai ha'mevorach.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed.
Praise the Lord, to whom our praise is due. We praise the Eternal One, to whom our praise is due forever. And on this wonderful sunny morning, let's say our words of praise and thanks for such a wonderful day and the beauty of creation. Let's read together. We praise you, Eternal One, our God, Sovereign of the universe, Maker of light and Creator of darkness. author of peace and creator of all things. In your mercy you give light to the earth and all who live on it. And in your goodness you renew creation continually day by day. How manifold are your works, O God! With wisdom have you made them all. The world is full of your creations. Your handiwork proclaims your praise. The radiant stars bear witness to your glory. We praise you, O God, Creator of light. Ahava rabbah ahavtanu Adonai Eloheinu, chemla gadola v'teirach amalta aleinu. Avinu malkeinu, ba'avur avotenu shebatachu v'cha. V'talamdeinu chukei chaim, kein techonenu utlamdeinu. V'tein belibeinu l'havinu l'haskil, lishmor lilmod u'l'hamei, lishmor v'la'asot u'l'kayem, et kol divrei toratecha bi'ahava. V'ha'einenu b'toratecha, v'dabek libeinu b'mitzvotecha. ויחד לבבינו ליהבה וליראה את שמך. כיוונו בחרת לייחדך באהבה. ברוך אתה אדוני, הבוחר בשיר ישראל באהבה. שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד.
שמע ישראל, Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuto Leolam
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך. ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם. בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך. ובשוכבך ובקומך. וקשרתם לאות על ידיך. והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך. וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך.
למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
Good and beautiful and true, sound, established and enduring are these words now and forever. True it is, eternal one, that you are our sovereign God and Redeemer, as you were the God and Redeemer of our ancestors. You are our Maker, the rock of our salvation. We've known you always as our helper and our liberator. There is no God but you. Truly you are first and you are last. We have no Redeemer but you. You redeemed us from Egypt and freed us from the house of bondage. Then with great joy, Moses, Miriam, and all Israel together sang to you this song.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נעדה בקודש, נורא תהילות אוסף אלוהי, נורא תהילות אוסף אלי. שירה חדשה שיבחו גאולים, לשמך על שפת הים, יחד כולם הודו, והמליכו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. זו ישראל ומעזרת ישראל, גואלנו אדוני צבאות שמו, קדוש ישראל, ברוך אתה אדוני, Gal Israel.
Adonai, Eternal God, open our lips that our mouths may declare your praise as we say together, Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu ve'Elohei Avotenu ve'Imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, ve'Elohei Leah, Ha'el HaGadol HaGibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim v'Konei HaKol, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרא שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, בחיים מתים אתה רב להושיע. משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם, מזרח השמש ומוריד הטל. מכלכל חיים בחסד, בחיי מתים ברחמים רבים. סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומטה אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני יפה. מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומי דומה לך? מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישוע. ונאמר אתה לחיות מתים. Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayeh HaMetim. We sanctify your name, and as in the prophet's vision, the hosts of heaven sing your praise above. For so it is written.
Kadosh, 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 Adonai Tzavot, Lo kol haaretz kavod.
Kavodo Malei Olam.
Baruch kavod Adonai mimkomo.
Mimkomo Sophia. ותמלוך עליהם, כי מחכים אנחנו לך.
ימלוך אדוני לעולם, אלוהי ציון, לדור ודור הללויה, לדור ודור, לדור ודור, לדור ודור, נגיד קולך, ולנצח נצחים, ולנצח נצחים, קדושתך נקדיש, לדור ודור, לדור ודור, לדור ודור, נגיד קולך, ולנצח נצחים, ולנצח נצחים, קדושתך נקדיש, בשבחה אלוהינו, מפינו לא ימוש לעולם ועד, לא ימוש, לא ימוש, לעולם ועד, לטובתו, 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 נגיד קודלך, ולנצח נצחים, ולנצח נצחים, קדושתך נקדיש. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש.
You inspired our ancestors to hallow this day for your service. When upon its coming we pause to contemplate our life, we learn anew that we do not live by bread alone, but also by the spiritual nourishment we receive when we open ourselves to your influence. We thank you for the Sabbath day and for the opportunity it offers to enhance the quality of our lives. We thank you for its joy and for its peace. May our worship help us to take into our hearts its message of holiness and consecrate all our days by devotion to what is true, beautiful, and good.
ישמחו במלאכותך, שומרי 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 שבת, וקורא עונג שבת. ישמחו במלאכותך, שומרי שומרי שבת, וקורא עונג שבת. מקדשי 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 שבי שבת, כולם יספרו, כולם יספרו, ויתענגו מטובך שבת. וחשבי וסגיתה בו, וקידש אותו שבת. וחשבי וסגיתה בו, וקידשתו. עמדת ימים, אותו קראת שבת. זכר למעשה בראשית שבת. ישמחו במלאכותך, שומרי 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 שבת, וקורא עונג שבת. ישמחו במלאכותך, שומרי שומרי שבת, וקורא עונג שבת.
And we read together. Our God and Joseph, turn off. That's better, I think. Otherwise, we're getting feedback. Let's start again. Our God and God of our ancestors, may our rest on this day be pleasing in your sight. Sanctify us by your commandments and make us loyal to your teaching. Satisfy us with your goodness, gladden us with your salvation, and purify our hearts to serve you in truth. In your gracious love, Eternal One, let the holiness of your Sabbath enter our hearts, and may all Israel, who hallow your name, be exalted by its peace. We praise you, O God, for the holiness of the Sabbath. Eternal God, be gracious to your people Israel, and in your love accept their prayers. May our worship now and always be acceptable in your sight. We praise you, O God, who alone we worship in reverence. Modim anachnu lach, shata hu Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei Abuteinu liolam va'ed. Tzur chayenu magen yishenu, ata hu lador vador. Nodeh lecha unesaper tehilatecha, al chayenu hamusurim biyadecha. ועל נשמותינו הפקודות לך, ועל ניסיך שבכל יום עמנו, ועל נפלאותיך וטובותיך, שבכל עת ערב ובוקר בצהריים. ברוך אתה אדוני, הטוב שמך, ולך נאה להודות. God peace, welfare and blessing, grace, love, and mercy to us and to all Israel, your people. As a loving parent, bless us with the light of your presence. For by the light of your presence, eternal God, you have revealed to us a law of life, a love of kindness and righteousness, blessing and mercy, life and peace. For it is good in your sight that your people Israel and all peoples be blessed at all times with your gift of peace. We praise you, O God, the source of peace. Yehu l'ratzon imrei fi. May the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable to you, O God, my rock and my redeemer.
Oh, say shalom b'mamav, uyaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol b'nei עושה שלום, שלום במרמה, הוא יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ועל כל ישראל, ועל כל בני אדם.
And so we move forward to our Torah service on page 481. Page 481.
אין כמוך באלוהים אדוני, ואין כמעשיך, מלכותך מלכות כל עולמים, וממשלתך בכל דור ודור. אדוני מלך, אדוני מלך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, אדוני עוז לעמו ייתן, אדוני יברך את עמו ושלום.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo.
Gadlu Adonai iti unromamach shemo yachdav. Let us magnify the Eternal One. Together, let us exalt God's name.
Adonai Hagdula, Hagura, Hatiferet, Hanetzah, Hanetzah, Hachod, Yichol Bashamayim Ubaaretz. Adonai Hamamlacha Hamidnaseh Lachol.
And so our Torah portion this morning goes by the name of Ha'azinu. It's actually the last Torah portion that we read on a Shabbos, because there is one more portion to go, V'zot HaBracha, but that one we reserve for Simchat Torah. Ha'azinu, give ear. It's just a wonderful poem that probably was written sometime after the entry into the land of Israel. Of course, it's called Shirat Moshe, Moses' song, and in the Torah it portrays as though Moses, just before he dies, recites this wonderful poem to the people that reminds them about that God, and there is a repeated word in it, that God is their tzur. God is their rock. And we've actually had mention of God being our rock twice already. Do you remember? Did you pick it up in the service? We've had two mentions of Tzur, and of course we have it in Hanukkah with what? We have with Ma'at Tzur, we have Tzur Israel, we've had, anyway. So it's a figure that comes up 4 times in this poem. And so Moses reminds people that it's how that God has taken us and made us into a special people. And then it's the wonderful poetry then goes on to talk about the time that God brought us to this wonderful land, a land in which there's some curd of kine and we'll come on to it. It's just wonderful food, the best food we could have. And then it says, but Yeshurun's poetic name for Israel waxed fat and forgot God. It's God gave us everything, and we show our ungratefulness. And I spent an hour with the Ark studies group yesterday, and I advise you to just go back when you've got time to look at Ha'azinu, chapter 32 of the book of of Deuteronomy. It's a long poem. Of course, it's just a bit, well, I have to say that to write such a poem immediately before, you go up Mount Nebo and that's the end, is just, he's 120, mind you, it is quite a feat. However, it probably was written, and my sort of minuscule research yesterday showed, probably sometime in the time of the Judges. And so it's a very early poem. It was written at a time when Israel had passed over into the land, had begun to develop, to settle and to do well. And immediately, what do? They abandon God and start worshipping the Baalim and other gods. Well, it's Haazinu. I'll read some of the poetry in Hebrew and then we'll look at it in English. But before we do that, and before we have the bracha, there's another bracha we have to say. Because George mentioned earlier that this was his bar mitzvah portion. When he was asked, how long ago was that? I mean, he said it was 80 years, almost 80 years ago. So all we can say, George, is first of all, this is quite incredible. And we should have given you should have given us notice. You could have done it and see if you remember it from 80 years later. But we're going to let you do the brachot. But this is quite incredible. And all I'm sure we all join in saying, Ad Mea V'Esrim. Well, no, I think the better blessing is Ad Mea Ke'esrim. May you live to be 100 Ke'esrim, as if you were 20, full of vigor and full of life. And so I'd like to say it's a very special time. Let's say a Shechianu all together on George's bar mitzvah Shabbos. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, shechianu v'kiyamanu v'higianu lazman hazeh. We do indeed thank God that for life and for preserving all of us and allowing us to have this very happy birthday occasion for you, although it's not your birthday, it's your Jewish bar mitzvah birthday. And so, George, let's ask you to read the brachot.
Thank you very much, Andrew. Baruch hu et Adonai hamavorach.
Baruch Adonai hamavorach leolam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai hamavorach leolam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bo chabonu mikol ha'amim, v'notan lonu et torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Ha'azinu ha'shamayim va'adabera, v'tishma ha'aretz imrei fi. Ye'erov kilitchi. Sorry, was that the? We're waiting for the screen sharing. There we are. Ha'azinu ha'shamayim va'adabera, v'tishma ha'aretz imrei fi. Ye'erav kamata lichi, tizal kadal imrati. Kisirim alei desher, krivim alei esev. Kishem Adonai ekra, hovogodel Eloheinu. Hatzur, tamim poalo, kichol darachav mishpat. El emunah v'ein avel, tzadik v'yashar hu. Shichet lo banav mumam, dor ikeshu faltoleh. Hal Adonai tigmalu zot, am naval v'lo chacham. Halo hu avicha konecha, hu asachai v'yichonenecha. Zechor yomot olam, binu shenot dor vador. Sha'al avicha v'yagedecha, zechenecha v'yomru lach. V'hanechel elyon goyim, v'hafridu v'nei adam. Yitzav gevolot amim, lemispar b'nei Yisrael. Ki chelech Adonai amo, Yaakov hevel nachalato. Yimsa'ehu be'eretz midbar, uvahohu yelaleli Shimon. Yisovavenhu yevodavenhu yitzrenu keishan eino. Kenesha ya'ir kano al gozlav yirecho. Yifrosh kanafav yikachehu yisa'ehu al evrato. Let's go back and look at the English. We can go back to the top. Well, I've got my English here. Give ear, O heavens, let me speak. Let the earth hear the words I utter. May my discourse come down as the rain, my speech distill as the dew, like showers on young growth, like droplets on the grass. For the name of Adonai I proclaim, give glory to our God. The rock whose deeds are perfect, yea, all God's ways are just. A faithful God, never false, true and upright indeed. Unworthy children, that crooked, perverse generation, their baseness has played God false. Do you thus requite Adonai, O dull and witless people? Is not this the Father who created you, fashioned you and made you endure? Remember the days of old, consider the years of ages past. Ask your parent who will inform you, your elders who will tell you. When the Most High gave nations their homes and set the divisions of humanity, God fixed the boundaries of people in relation to Israel's number. For the Eternal One's portion is this people. Jacob is God's own allotment. God found them in a desert region, in an empty, howling waste. God engirded them, watched over them, guarded them as the pupil of God's eye. Like an eagle who rouses its nestlings, gliding down to its young. So did God spread wings and take them, bear them along in pinions. And I think the only thing that's a modern translation, the only thing that I always wince at is, and it may be a correct translation, that God took us as the the pupil of God's eye. That's not so good, is it? We all know it as what do we know it as?
The apple.
The apple of God's eye, it's the apple of God's eye. But so many wonderful phrases that we have there. Some of them coming into our prayer book, but a number of them already coming in to the English language, almost certainly through the translation of the English Bible. And so can we have the bracha, please?
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher notan lanu torat emet, Yehei olam noteh b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai, noten haTorah.
And before we do Baruch Shenatan, I'll hold up the Torah. I don't know if it's, is it visible? I don't know. It's a bit difficult. The light has not got it. Because, of course, maybe that's a bit better. The Torah, actually, this poem is perfect parallelism, and it's written in two parallel columns, each of the halves of the verses beautifully divided up. So I'll hold it. Let's have Baruch Shenatan.
Baruch Shenatan Torah Le'amo Yisrael B'kedushato.
Now we have the Haftarah. This time it's another poem coming from the second book of Samuel. It's parallel to the one that we have for Moses, and in fact, a number of verses in Moses' song are repeated here. And actually, quite a number of the verses in this song of Moses are repeated by the prophets. And elsewhere, we get it in one of the verses in the book of Jonah, but we get it throughout the early prophets, which seems to imply that that poem was written very early on and was well known by the later generations who knew it off by heart and were happy to quote from it. But so we have the Haftarah from the second book of Samuel, start at chapter 22.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar b'nbiim tovim v'ratza v'divreihem hane'emerim ba'emet. Baruch atah Adonai haboher b'torah u'Moshe avdo v'Yisrael amo u'v'nbi'en ha'emet v'tzedek. When the Eternal had saved him from the grasp of his enemies, and especially from the grasp of King Saul, David sang this song to the Eternal. He sang, "The Eternal is my rock, my fortress, my refuge. God is my rock where I seek shelter, my shield, the source of my salvation, my deliverer. You save me from violence. Derided, I cry out to God and am saved from my foes. The waves of death surround me. Destruction's floods frightened me. The bonds of Sheol closed in on me. Death's net entrapped me. In my torment, I called to the Eternal. I called to my God. In your temple, you heard me. My scream was in your ears. The earth trembled and shuddered. The sky's foundations shook. Your wrath made them shudder. Smoke poured from your nostrils. A devouring fire from your mouth. Blazing coals flamed forth from you. You spread out the sky and came down with a thick cloud beneath your feet. You saddled a cherub and flew. You swooped on the wings of the wind. You tented yourself around with darkness, with rain clouds your pavilion. Glowing coals flared forth from your brilliance. The Eternal thundered from heaven. The voice of the Most High made itself heard. You launched arrows and scattered them. Your lightning confounded them. The sea's channel could be seen. Earth's foundations were revealed. But your great roar, Eternal One, by the blast of your nostrils, you reached down from above and took me, pulling me out of the deep waters. You saved me from my powerful foe, from enemies too strong for me. They advanced on me in my time of calamity, but the Eternal my support, you brought me out from trouble to the wide open space. Because you cherished me, you rescued me. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam tzur kol halamim tzadik b'chol hadarot ha'el haneman ha'omer v'oseh hamdeber u'mkayem shekol davarav emet v'tzedek al haTorah ve'al ha'avodah ve'al hanavim ve'al yom haShabbat hazeh שנתת לנו, אדוני אלוהינו, לקדושה ולמנוחה, לכבוד ותפארת, על הכל, אדוני אלוהינו, אנחנו מודים לך ומברכים אותך. יתברך שמך בפי כל חי, תמיד לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני, מקדש השבת. Amen.
Right. Eternal God, whose dominion embraces the universe, we ask your blessing for our sovereign lady, Queen Elizabeth, and all the royal family, for those who govern our country and all who influence the quality of its national life. Make them conscious of their responsibility and teach them to exercise it in accordance with your will. May we all help to fashion in this country a society that excels in freedom and justice, tolerance and compassion, so that it may be a force for righteousness and peace in the life of humanity.
Eternal God, as you blessed our ancestors in generations past, Bless now this congregation, its leaders and its members, and all who enter this synagogue to meet, to study, and to pray. Comfort the sorrowing hearts among us, and heal those in anxiety and pain. May we all find here community and friendship, renewal of purpose and hope, a deeper understanding of our heritage, and a sense of your abiding presence. Bless all congregations of the House of Israel throughout the world. Let those who live under oppressive rule soon be freed, and may we all unite to witness to your truth and do your will.
Eternal God, our rock and redeemer, grant blessing to the state of Israel, created to fulfill an age-old dream and to be a haven for the oppressed. Inspire its leaders and citizens with faithfulness to the aims of its founders, to develop the land for the benefit of all its inhabitants, and to implement the prophetic ideals of liberty and justice. May they live in harmony with one another and in peace with their neighbors, and cause to come true once more the ancient vision that out of Zion shall go forth Torah and the word of God from Jerusalem.
Now a prayer for those who are ill, and if there are any names you wish to mention, then please do so. Mishaberach Avotenu V'Imotenu. May the one who blessed our ancestors Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, bless those and heal those members of the community who are ill. And would you like to mention any names?
Simon Lubert, my nephew.
My friend Daphne Cousins and my brother-in-law, Victor
My
Schoenfield.
friend Stuart Beattie.
May the Holy One be filled with compassion for their health, and that their health is restored and their strength is revived. May God swiftly send them a complete renewal of body and renewal of spirit. And let us all say,
Amen.
Amen. Yahalelu et Shem Adonai ki niskav shemo levado.
הודו על ארץ ושמיים, וירם קרן לעמו, תהילה לכל חסידיו, לבני ישראל, עם קרובו, הללויה, hallelujah.
Over the page. Behold, a good vine has been given. Do not forsake it. It is a tree of life to those who hold it fast, and all who cling to it find happiness. Its ways are ways of pleasantness, and all its paths are peace.
עץ חיים היא, למחזיקים בה, ותומכיה מאושה. דרכיה תחנו, בכל נתיבותיה שלום. השיבנו אדוני אליך ונשובה. חדש ימינו כקדם, חדש ימינו כקדם.
I'd like to congratulate you all. You must have energy or devotion to zoom into services so soon after the marathon of the high holidays. Services one after another. So thank you for logging on. Yes, and with the knowledge that you've got 2 Sukkot services, 2 Simchat Torah services, and actually 4 more Shabbos services to go before Tishri comes to an end. I recall meeting Rabbi Naftali Brower, the Menschlich Orthodox rabbi who used to be in Northwoods, is now in America. It was another year in which the Yontovs were on weekdays. And so there were countless Shabboses as well as all the Yontovs. I said to him, "It's a rabbi killer, isn't it?" He was perplexed. For him, the more services, the merrier. And of course, he had 2 days Yontov and 3 times a day on every other day. But here we are, liberal Jews, almost at the end of the Torah, and what an ending. A superb poem in classical Hebrew style. Sharon and I went to Edinburgh to take services for Rosh Hashanah, and in the entrance of the hotel on Princes Street, there was a sort of hologram with continuous readings by an actor of the poems of Rabbi Burns. Rabbi, you know, I always call him Rabbi Burns, but certainly up in Scotland, they see him as their national poet. They're Jewish. Well, I'm not sure he's Jewish, but anyway, you know what I mean. Anyway, the only sentence I can recall as we walked through the entrance was, "Oh, my love is like a red, red rose." On the face of it, it's a nonsense statement, as it's unlikely that his true love was green and prickly from the neck down and pungent and red from the face up. But the poetry of the phrase contains an observation and a thought and a feeling beyond the words themselves. And so it is with Ha'azinu. And in fact, the Torah itself, especially for us non-fundamentalist liberal Jews, that's why we too read the Torah over and over again. And that's why the curiously named Rabbi Ben Bagbag says in Pirkei Avot, "Turn it and turn it, for all is in it. Grow grey and old over it, and never turn away from it. For you can never find a better way of life than this." Well, I'm grey, and looking at, well, on the screen, there's 1 or 2 of you who joined me there. Let's thank God we have survived these high holy days and are in full vigor for the year ahead. So many phrases in Ha'azinu that evoke images that have so many deeper meanings. God is depicted as our creator, the rock that begot us. And then as a parent, like an eagle who rouses his nestlings, gliding down to his young, so did God spread wings and take Israel and carry Israel in his pinions. Yet God is also depicted as a strict parent. "There is no God beside me. I deal death and I give life. I have wounded and I will heal." And Rabbi Ellen Franklin, in her book, The 5 Books of Miriam, comments on this. On a more limited scale, so must it be with human parents as well. For at first, when all the power is ours, we shape our children, and in the process, often unconsciously and certainly unwittingly, both wound and heal them. Then we send them off to cross the Jordan, where they will have to muddle through on their own. This time of year, once it was our children we sent off to university or college, out into the university wilderness, and suddenly Sharon and I find it's our grandchildren that are making the same journey. And of course, Ha'azinu and the Torah itself then ends with Moses told that he can't have everything he wants. After all of his leadership through thick and thin, he cannot cross the Jordan, and he must let Joshua carry on doing the parenting of the people as the best as he can. Meanings upon meanings. Zechor Yemot Olam. Remember the days of old. Consider the years of ages past. We could go on all day basing our conversation on the beauty of the Shirat Moshe, the poem of Moses. But Dayenu, enough for this year. More to come on Sukkot, and Genesis is just round the corner. The Torah, well, I wish you Shana Tova, a good new year. And Torah, I always hope that you will give us new meanings and experiences to make life exciting and rewarding, and give us pause for thought. And as a link to Sukkot, we're now going to read a theme in our prayer book on prosperity, which I suppose is the theme of Sukkot, a continuation of the holy days, thanking God for all the blessings we have enjoyed, the beauty we have experienced, and the fortitude to face the trials of life. And you'll see that the section ends with another reference to God as our Tzur, the rock of our lives. And those of you whose memory goes back to Service of the Heart, way back then, do you remember that old prayer book? You'll find a welcome repeat of that poem by William Blake. It's an easy thing to triumph in the summer's sun. And so we read this special theme from our Siddur on prosperity. It's on page 284, page 284.
If you follow my statutes and keep my commandments and observe them, I will give you your rain in its season, and the land shall yield its produce, and the trees of the field shall yield their fruit. Your threshing shall overtake the vintage, and the vintage shall overtake the sowing. You shall eat your fill of bread and dwell securely in your land.
And I will make peace reign in the land.
And you shall lie down, and no one shall make you afraid. The threshing floors shall be full of grain, the vats shall overflow with wine and oil. You shall eat your fill and praise the Eternal One, your God, for the good land that has been given you. That is the ideal. That is how God intended it should be. That is how, according to the ancient myth, it was the Garden of Eden. And that is how, according to the ancient hope, it will be in the Messianic age. But it is not so in the world as we know it. For in truth, the immense distance between the world's poor and the world's prosperous continues to increase. That poverty is the handmaiden of disease, malnutrition, despair, and rage. Such is the reality of our world. The earth has enough for everybody's needs, but not for everyone's greed. Has God done this to us, or have we done this to ourselves? And do we have any personal responsibility, or is it always someone else's? And when we are well, we forget what it's like to be ill. So when we were well fed, we forget what it's like to be hungry. We leave our house full of good things at the time of ingathering and dwell in frail booths, so that we may remember that in the wilderness we had no possessions and no houses to dwell in. We ought to remember our days of adversity and the days of our prosperity. We tend to forget, to shut our minds to the sufferings of fellow human beings far away, or not so far away, because we have our own problems, or we're too busy, or because there's so little we can do. And sometimes we commit an even graver sin and allow ourselves to think that all receive what they deserve. The worst conclusion is when people think that the poor, the poorer, are the less worthy. It's an easy thing to triumph in the summer's sun and in the vintage, and to sing on the wagon loaded with corn. It's an easy thing to talk of patience to the afflicted, to speak the laws of prudence to the homeless wanderer, to listen to the hungry ravens cry in wintry season, when the red blood is filled with wine and with the marrow of lambs. It's an easy thing to laugh at wrathful elements. to hear the dog howl at the wintry door, the ox in the slaughterhouse moan, to see a God on every wind and a blessing on every blast, to hear sounds of love in the thunderstorm that destroys our enemies' houses, to rejoice in the blight that covers his field and the sickness that cuts off his children, while our olive and our vine sing and laugh round our door, and our children bring fruits and flowers. Then the groan and the dole are quite forgotten, and the slave grinding at the mill, and the captive in chains, and the poor in prison, and the soldier in the field. When the shattered bone has laid him groaning among the happier dead, it's an easy thing to rejoice in the tents of prosperity. Not that prosperity is everything. We do not live by bread alone, but by whatever God commands. But as the life of the body depends on life of the spirit, so the life of the spirit depends on the life of the body. Without bread, there's no Torah. Without Torah, no bread. Our task is to evolve a society in which both physical and spiritual needs are satisfied for us and for all members of the human family. The needy shall not always be forgotten, nor the hope of the poor perish forever. God, let us not be content when others lack their daily bread. Let us not be serene when some have no roof over their heads. Teach us to give thanks for what we have by sharing it with those who are in need. And teach us how to build a world in which all your children will enjoy your blessings and praise your goodness.
So Mishalo Achanu, so Mishalo Achanu, so Mishalo Achanu, Bara, Uemanu, Savanu, Vatanu, Kidva Adonai, so Mishalo Achanu, Bara, Uemuna, Savanu, Vatanu, Kidva Adonai, Hazan, 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 Hazan et Olamo, Hazan, 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 Hazan et Olamo, Hazan et Olamo, Ro'enu Avinu, Achanu et Lachmo, Ve'enu Shatinu, Al Keno Delishmo, Un Halalu Bafinu, Amanu Vaninu, and Kadosh Kadonai, so Mishalo, Mishalo Achanu, so Mishalo, Mishalo Achanu, so Mishalo Achanu, Bara, Huemuna, Savanu, Vatanu, Gidva Adonai, so Mishalo Achanu, Bara, Huemuna, Savanu, Vatanu, Gidva Adonai.
Thank you. That's a wonderful song. And the passage, I think that's a wonderful theme, is it not? And there could be many a sermon given on that, many of the lines in that very thought-making. And thank you, Maureen, for reading it for us. We now turn to page 519, page 519, for our concluding prayers. Page 519. Baruch Adonai la'olam, amen va'amen. Baruch Adonai Elohim Elohei Yisrael osei niflaot levado. Ubaruch Shem kevodo le'olam v'malei kevodo et kol haaretz. Amen va'amen. The eternal God shall rule over all the earth. On that day the eternal God shall be one and known to be one. May your love, O God, rest upon us as we rest our hope in you. All the nations that you have made shall come and bow down before you and honor your name. Let God be praised by day. Let God be praised by night. Let God be praised when we lie down. Let God be praised when we rise up. Avinu Sheba Shamayim, our God in heaven, let your unity be acknowledged and your sovereignty established forever. Reign over us now and always. The eternal God has reigned. And will reign forever.
Adonai Melech, Adonai Malach, Adonai Yimlach, Le'olam
So we turn to page 522. Turn over to 522. Creator of the universe, you give us life in which joys and sorrows are commingled accordance with your will. And you send death with its promise of eternal peace. Teach us to accept humbly and courageously whatever burden is laid upon us. Comfort those who mourn, and let the light of faith illumine the darkness of their sorrow with the hope of immortality. Strengthen us at all times with an unfailing trust in your providence. And on the Shabbat, on the occasion of their yahrzeits, we make mention of the names of Ellen Darso, the mother of Sonia Sharp, James Feltz, the husband of Evelyn Feltz, Clara Miller, the friend of the community. May God send comfort to all those who mourn, as we say together the Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, v'alma divra chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael, v'agala v'zman kariv v'imeru amen. Yehei shemei Rabbah mevarach le'olam u'lalmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ah v'yitromam v'yitnasei. V'tada v'yitale v'yitalal shemei l'kulisha berichu. Le'ela min kol bechata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechemata. Da'amiran bi'alama v'imeru amen. Yehei shalom ha'rabba min shemaya. V'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael. V'imeru amen. Osei shalom b'imromav. Hu yasei shalom. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'al kol b'nei Adam, v'imeru. Amen. May great peace descend from heaven, and abundant life be granted to us and all Israel. And let us say, Amen. And so shall we conclude our service, Joseph, with, how about Ein Keloheinu? Give us an Ein Keloheinu on page 528. Choose any one of the many tunes I'm sure you know for Ein Keloheinu.
Should we do some announcements first, Andrew? Do you think?
What?
Should we do some announcements first? Normally at this point in the service.
I think we'll do a deal on that one. Yes. How about some announcements?
Linda, are you happy for me to do that rather than yourself? Okay. Firstly, then, obviously, I'd just first like to very much thank Andrew for leading our service this morning, and in particular reminding us of the rush hour of services that we have coming up over the next that we've experienced that are coming up in the next few weeks. So thank you very much for leading us today, Andrew, in this kind of, you could almost call it an interim Shabbat service between the various High Holy Days. And thank you very much for your sermon in particular. And thanks everyone for joining in and helping with the reading today, particularly you, Maureen, who we did throw in at the last minute there and gave you quite a chunk to read, which you read very ably. So thank you very much. I'm just going to sort of try and share my screen, which normally works, but you probably see the right. Hopefully you can now see the details of the services that are coming up. So the services for Sukkot are joint services with Reform, and you can see details on your screen. The Erev Sukkot service, note the time, begins at 7 o'clock, and you should have in your newsletters a link to join it by Zoom. You'll also see that there's a special prayer book that's been produced for the service, and you can download that from the newsletter as well. And arrangements are similar the next day. Again, it's a joint service, starts at 10:45 a.m. And again, the services themselves are in the newsletter for you to download and hopefully use. Just one other event coming up, and there's a next Sunday week. There is the online tea time quiz, which starts at 5:30. And is always quite enjoyable, if a bit challenging in certain areas. But it normally have about 60 to 70 people turn up for that, so it is quite fun quiz. So I'd urge you all to join in. And I won't go on to mention subsequent Shabbats and Simchat Torah and so on. But obviously there will be a Shabbat service next Saturday. I'm not quite sure what the arrangements are for leading it, but there will obviously be another Shabbat service next Saturday at 11 o'clock. So that's me done. Unless anyone else has got anything they want to say, I'll hand back to Joseph.
Okay, great. En Kelohenu.
En Kelohenu, en Karonenu, en Kamalkenu, en Kamoshienu, mi Kelohenu, mi Karonenu, mi Kamalkenu, mi Kamoshienu, Nodel Eloheinu, Nodel Adonenu, Nodel Malkeinu, Nodel Moshienu, Baruch Eloheinu, Baruch Adonenu, Baruch Malkeinu, Baruch Moshienu, Atahu Eloheinu, Atahu Adonenu, Atahu Malkeinu, Atahu Moshienu.
Alison, I'm sorry it took so time to get with us, but you heard the best part of the service, and that was Joseph saying Kelohenu. I think that was great, because that's absolutely wonderful. And thank you. That ends our service on a joyful note. Baruch atah b'voecha, Baruch atah b'tzeitecha. Blessed are you when you come in, and I hope you felt blessed when you came in. But certainly, I feel blessed when we go out. Which is such a rousing Ein Kelohenu, and I wish you a good week. But we're going to make Kiddush now, so yeah, who's going to make Kiddush? Yeah, Stephen's got the Kiddush cup.
Yes, by default. V'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, lasot et ha-Shabbat, l'dorotam b'rit olam, beini uvein b'nei Yisrael, oti le'olam, yisheshet yamim asa Adonai, et ha-shamayim ve'et ha'aretz, uvayom hashvi'i, Shabbat v'yinafash, Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Amen. Chaim. Unless anyone else has a cholah. Oh, do you want to do this, Andrew? You do it.
I don't know the blessing. I haven't practiced.
I'm sure you remember.
Let's all do it together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. And thank you, Joseph. And as you might gather, we enjoy taking the services with you, and we wish you happy festivals to come.
Shabbat shalom,
Shabbat shalom.
Shana tova, and everything good.
Thank you very much, Andrew, for a very moving, very good service.
Okay, good. Okay.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Shabbat shalom, everybody.
Shana tova to you all.
And beautifully read, Maureen. That was a challenge. Beautiful.
Thank you.
Andrew, one of the nice things about you taking the service is that Sharon is with you. So thank you both very much.
Yes.
Absolutely. Thank you. Yeah, indeed, a good partnership. And in Edinburgh, Sharon is the solo singer all the way through. At least it was Rosh Hashanah last year. It was the year before that when we actually could meet. It was Yom Kippur, and she had to sing the whole lot on her own, which is What an undertaking.
Right.
Anyway,
Shabbat shalom,
George,
everybody. Have a good week and bye-bye.
yeah,
Thank you, everybody.
thank you, everybody. And George, maybe the congregation remember that next year, George can do Hazina. I think you should do. Amazing. And we wish you great health and many years, George. And it's just wonderful to have this reminiscence. And even though you did your bar mitzvah in an Orthodox shul, it's good to see you sitting there in a liberal shul. Shabbat shalom, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Shalom. Shabbat shalom.
Thank
Shalom. Bye. Shabbat shalom. Thank you.
Thank you.
You've probably never heard of a liberal shul.
No.
Hi, I'm sorry again. I had to take a call as well. Anyway, all the best to you all.
All the best, Alison.
And to you, we'd rather have you here than not at all, Alison.
Yeah, and then I had a phone call I had to take, and I felt awful. Anyway, I do apologise, but I've apologised enough now.
It's very good to see you, Alison.
Thank you.
I'm sorry that I only came on in time for the sermon, but I enjoyed it.
Bye-bye, everyone. Thank you so much.
Bye, everybody. Bye.
Rosemary, I had great trouble in letting you in.